All right, good morning, everyone. It's May the 10th, and it's 8:30, so I will bring the meeting to order. We have an agenda before us. There is an addition to the agenda, be 6.1, and that would be the repeal and replace the 2022 Tax Rate Bylaw. Are there any other additions or deletions? Yes.
I'd like to add a committee report on the Dr. R&R Committee.
All righty, and that will be 9.2, R&R, Doctors R&R. Any other additions or deletions? Seeing as not, yes, Councillor Christie.
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Okay, we have a motion to move the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. We have pre-circulated the meeting minutes of April 26th. Are there any errors, omissions, concerns? Yes, Deputy Reeve King.
I'd make the motion to accept the April 26th regular council meeting minutes as presented.
All righty, we have a motion to approve as presented. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. All righty, so our first item will be number 4, infrastructure spec dust, or spec crude dust suppression. Welcome, Mr. Zier. Yeah.
Good morning, Council.
I hear Russia's having a sale on oil.
We might have to go overseas to get our supply here.
Yeah, sounds like.
Yeah. Mike Zier with administration here, presenting item 4.1, the spec crude dust suppression rates. So typically these dust suppression rates are brought all at the same time with calcium and spec crude. This year, unfortunately, there was a delay in the pricing of the spec crude due to the volatility of the market here. So we just obtained this pricing a couple of weeks ago, which is why you see it before you here. So just a little background. The spec crude is just an oil product that we mix. The ratepayers are able to purchase it and install it in front of their properties for dust abatement. As you see, in 2021, the price was 71 cents per liter. The latest pricing we got here that's secured for 2022 is $1.20, so significantly higher than it was in previous year and years. So this is a product that we have a contractor come in, utilize their own spray trucks, spray it. We use our graders and labor to install it after the fact, but basically this is a rate for the product and the labor of that at $195 an hour. So knowing what we put down per square meter, we're looking at around a $61.17 per meter recovery for the contractor pricing. As you'll see, to remain consistent with calcium pricing, we actually do subsidize. We have the gravel and the labor of the calcium as well, which we can consider that is covered under our graveling program. So that isn't included in the price here. So it looks at about $61.17 is the recommendation for the rate for 2022.
Council have any questions for Mr. Uter? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Christie.
You said square meter. I thought it was linear meter, the road.
It ends up being about 6 to 7 liters per square meter is what the application rate is. Or sorry, 5 to 6 liters. So they use 45 liters per meter on, you're looking at a typical 8-meter wide road. So that's why the highest price of oil per meter here.
Okay, well, I appreciate that because that's quite a difference in meter of road versus a square meter. So
for sure, yeah.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Zier? So that's working out to over $12,000 for 200 meters of road.
Yeah, and through the chair, I did confirm the rate is going to stay that. We normally buy around 40,000 liters for this. I think we had 6 applicants for that last year. I just confirmed that if we bought less, it would, the remain the same price because it's economies of scale on this typically, but we've secured that pricing for a lower quantity as well. But yeah, we don't expect a whole lot of intake into this program this year at that price.
No. What's asphalt worth then? I know I'm going off on a tangent here.
If you look at $1 million a mile, that's what, $600 a meter on an average road. So this is still cheaper, but we're starting to get up there.
Yeah, we are. $600 a meter, you say?
On $1 million a mile pavement, which is, I mean,
That'll be a 6-inch.
has
lift.
been typical in the past.
Yeah, okay. All righty.
Gonna pave your road?
Nope, not doing that. Yes, go ahead, Councillor McGhee.
I think we all knew this was inevitable, so I would like to move that we approve the spec crude rate at 61.17 per meter as presented.
All righty, we have a motion to approve the spec crude rate of 61.17 per meter. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing as not, call the question. All those in favor? Reluctantly unanimous.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Zier.
Thank you.
All righty, so our next agenda item would be 5.2.1 ASB Weed and Pest Inspector appointees, appointments, yes. Welcome, Ms. Sherwick. And anytime you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. So the item I have for you this morning is the ASB Weed and Pest Inspector appointments. So relevant legislation to this item on the provincial side includes the Weed Control Act, the Agricultural Pest Act, and the Soil Conservation Act. And then at the municipal level, the Kneehill County Policy 128 on weed control. So a bit of background on this. Under the Provincial Weed Control Act and Pest Control Act, weed and pest inspectors must be appointed by municipalities to carry out inspections under these respective enactments. And discussion on this, no perceived disadvantages or other considerations to this motion, as these council appointments are required under provincial legislation. Regarding financial and staffing implications, there are no additional budget or staffing implications to the recommended motion, as this would be included in the existing seasonal staffing plan for 2022 and budget 2022. And council options here that council appoints for the term of their employment with Kneehill County, Jake Robertson, Emily MacArthur, and William Hoppins as weed and pest inspectors and soil conservation officers for Kneehill County under the Alberta Weed Control, Soil Conservation, and Agricultural Pest Acts. And that is the recommended motion that I have for you.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions from council for Ms. Sherwick? Anyone want to make a motion? Yes, go ahead, Councillor
I'll move
Christie.
to appoint for the term of their employment with Kneehill County, Jacob Robertson, Emily MacArthur, and William Hoppins as weed and pest inspectors and soil conservation officers for Kneehill County under the Alberta Weed and Control, Soil Conservation, and Agricultural Pest Acts.
Okay, we have a motion as presented on screen, because I'm not going to read it. Is there any discussion to that motion? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Morning, Shelby. Are any of these returning inspectors, or are they all new?
Yes, so two of them are returning, and one of them is a new employee, yes.
Is there any other discussion to the motion? Okay, I see none. I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is also carried unanimously. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you very much.
All righty, our next agenda item would be 6.1. And Ms. Severson, you are presenting? All righty. So anytime you're ready, Carolyn.
Good morning, Council, and thank you. So I'm bringing back the 2022 Tax Rate Bylaw. We found a typographical error in the bylaw. Didn't change the content or the intent of what you had approved originally, but we do need to revise it or repeal and replace, which is what we're going to do, due to that typographical error. The MGA states that even a typo error has to be redone or revised. So we have not mailed out any tax notices yet or printed them, just starting to get into that process. So we thought it was best to repeal the original bylaw and replace it so it's clean and clear. I think that Carolyn has highlighted in the bylaw where the error is for me on the screen so I could show you. In the page 3, the last paragraph, where it has the total tax rate for each assessment category. Just have her pull it up. I'm not sure why it's not showing up there. There we go. So keep going, next page, right there, that very last line in that, oh, I guess you probably can't. We had put an extra 0 in the first column on the dip linear as 0.0016, which then made the total incorrect. So we have corrected that, and then this bylaw will replace the previous one. So it didn't change any calculations. This is just a reference point in the bylaw for us to easily show what the total tax rate for each of our categories are. And it was just a simple extra 0 in there, and thank goodness we caught it. So that is what this new bylaw is for. It does not change the authority or the intent of the original bylaw and only requires a revision or replacement to clean it up for clarification purposes. So that's what we're requesting, that we just replace it with this new bylaw number.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council to Ms. Severson? Ultimately, you moved the period 1 over. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So then it made the total a lot less than we wanted.
Right. Yes, go ahead, Councillor McGhee.
I'm glad you caught this mistake. Thank you for bringing that forward. And so I would like to move that we give first reading to bylaw 1855, that being a bylaw for 2022 tax rates.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to proceed with first reading of bylaw 1855. Is there any discussion to that motion? I see none. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Yes, Councillor Christie.
I'll move second reading given to bylaw 1855.
Okay, we have a motion to proceed with second reading, bylaw 1855. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay. Councillor Penner.
Did we vote on that? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. I'd make the motion that council give consent to hold third reading of bylaw 1855.
Okay, we have a motion to give consent to hold third reading of bylaw 1855. Any discussion to that motion? I see none. Call the question. All those in favor? And let the record reflect that it was unanimous. Yes, Deputy Reeve King.
So I'll make the motion that we give third reading to bylaw 1855.
All righty. We have a motion to give third reading to bylaw 1855. Last chance. Any discussion? I see none. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is also carried unanimously.
Thank you, council, and hopefully you don't see me again for a while.
Oh, we always like to see you here. All righty, we can't do 8.1 until after the public hearing, so I will skip over to 9.1. That being council and committee reports. Councillor McGhee has provided us with a report for Marigold. Are there any questions? Anything you want to highlight there, Councillor McGhee?
It was the first AGM in the new building. It's very well. It's very exciting to be there. We are also very, very sad to see that our CAO is going to be leaving us to retire, as will our lifelong chair is leaving retire. So she will stay on the board.
Any questions for Councillor McGhee? We also have a report from Deputy Reeve King, Dr. R&R.
So I apologize for the lateness of its inclusion, but here it is. And it's just, really, it's a restatement of information that I had provided to you informally regarding the last Dr. R&R meeting. So if there's any questions that you have, I would certainly be happy to respond to them.
We have enough budgeted funds to pay the 2 doctors that are...
Yes, currently in the funds that the committee has, there is enough money for the doctors that are under contract, the retention contracts that we have with them. Going forward, we're losing a doctor and we are looking at recruiting an additional one. And I think there is enough money in place that we could do that. And then going forward from there, it would be a different story.
Okay.
One of the things that the committee is talking about is an increased focus on retention rather than, we seem to have doctors come and then fulfill their contracts and then they're gone. And we're looking at ways that perhaps we could keep doctors in our community longer. So.
Don't pay out until after the 5th year.
I'll take that under advisement.
All righty. If there's no questions, would someone like to move the council and committee reports for information? Councillor Penner.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to move council and committee reports for information as presented. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing not, call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Nope, no problem. All right, that takes care of that. So our next agenda item is council follow-up action list. I will. Any questions, concerns? Yes, go ahead, Councillor McGhee.
I move that we receive for information the council follow-up action list as presented.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to receive as presented. Is there any discussion to that motion? I see none. Call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. All righty, so that kind of brings us to the end of our open agenda until after we have our public hearing. So would someone like to move us into closed session? Yes.
I'll move us into
Counselor
closed
Coates.
session.
Okay, we have a motion to move into closed session. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously, and I will await.
The sealing of the doors?
Yeah. I will await confirmation that we are All righty, we've come out of closed session at 9:40. I neglected to mention why we were going in, so I will do that now. We were in closed session to deal with advice from officials, section 2.4 of the FOIP, personnel, section 17 and 19 out of FOIP, and intergovernmental relations, section 21 under FOIP. Okay, so we're giving the opportunity for the gallery to get filled again. And what we will do now is we will go into recess and come back for the public hearing that starts at 10 a.m. Thank you. righty, good morning. It is 10 o'clock, and I will bring the public hearing to order. We are recessed. Could someone make a motion to call for public hearing 18, or bylaw 1853 to open? Okay, thank you.
Make that motion.
All right. All right, so we have a motion to close, or to open the public hearing for bylaw 1853. All those in favor? That's carried unanimously. All right, I would like to remind the public that if they wish to speak to the bylaw, that they register their name on the speakers list. There will also be an opportunity when I've gone through the speakers list that I will ask one final time if there's anyone else present who wishes to speak. The speakers list, I do believe, is out in the entry foyer. At this time, I would like to introduce members of council present today, and starting from my right.
Carrie Phobes, Division 4.
Laura Michelle Cunningham, Division 5.
Good morning, Debbie Penna, Division 2.
Morning, Jerry Whitstock.
Good morning, Ken King, Division 7.
Good morning, Wade Christie, Division 6.
Good morning, Faye McGhee, Division 1.
And also joining us today will be our CAO, Mr. Hogan. There's nobody video conferencing in, so I will outline the meeting process. Today's public hearing procedures will be followed according to Procedural Bylaw 1846. A copy of the procedures is attached to the package, and additional copies can be found at the recording secretary's desk, which is there. Okay, I will now open the process. I will now ask our Planning and Development Department to come forward to make their presentation. Welcome, Ms. Hazelton.
Good morning. The presentation put the computer to sleep, so I hope that's not what's to come. So we have a public hearing today for bylaw 1853, and this is to consider the redesignation of approximately 1.04 acres within a portion of the southeast of 28, 3226 west of 4, from the agriculture district to the light industrial district, and what you'll see, the area is what's outlined in red. This has been advertised as per the requirements of the Municipal Government Act under Section 606, so it's been in Three Hills Capital April 20th and 27th and May 4th. Notices have been sent to adjacent landowners and referral agencies, and it's been posted on the Kneehill County website. So, summary of the project. The applicants would like to construct a micropower generation and cryptocurrency mining facility. They're proposing 7 to 9 crypto mining containers and 7 to 9 natural gas powered generators to power the mining operation. The footprint of the project will be on an existing Ember Resources lease site. The land location is the southeast of 28, 32, 26 west of 4. The site is accessed via Range Road 263, approximately 1.5 miles south of Highway 27. The site is approximately 2 kilometers southwest of the hamlet of Torrington. So where you see the arrow is the proposed location, and that just gives you some idea in relation to Highway 27 and Torrington. Kneehill County, so under the Municipal Development Plan, these are the considerations that we look at. So we do recognize the importance of having a balanced tax base. We strive to create opportunities for commercial, agricultural, industrial, and tourism growth. Some of the goals in the Municipal Development Plan are to attain the necessary infrastructure, to retain, expand, and attract business and industry, to create opportunities that will provide a variety of development options that will diversify and strengthen the county's economy. All commercial and industrial uses will maintain high standards for visual appearance and will provide integration with surrounding land uses. So those are some of the key principles under the Municipal Development Plan. Under our land use bylaw, the purpose of the light industrial district is to provide for a wide range of low-intensive industrial and commercial land uses in the rural areas, which are easily acceptable. Industrial uses shall be located within a reasonable distance of a primary highway or a railway. Industrial uses shall be located and designed so as not to create conflicts with adjacent or surrounding land uses through unsightly appearance, emission of noise or pollutants, creation of dust or similar disturbances. And industrial uses shall not locate on lands having a potential for flooding, erosion, subsidence, steep slopes, or otherwise containing adverse physical features. So when we're looking at the uses in the light industrial district, what you see here is the permitted uses. So once lands are rezoned to light industrial, then these uses would be ones that we could potentially have on that site. And the discretionary uses are ones that aren't a guarantee, but they are looked at site specifically. So any of these types of uses are also part of that zoning. This application to redesignate the lands relates solely to the use of the land. The data center is a discretionary use in the light industrial district. If successful in their application to rezone the lands, the development permit will deal with the specific details of the proposal, and the application will be taken to the Municipal Planning Commission for approval. Administration and the Municipal Planning Commission will add conditions to the development permit through this process. There's an additional process with this application. This application is also reviewed by the Alberta Utility Commission. So the AUC does not regulate Bitcoin, but they do regulate the natural gas generators that generate the power for the associated Bitcoin operations. The applicant will also need approval under Alberta Environment and Parks, and they have to meet the Alberta Air Emission Standards and Guidelines for electricity generation for the emission standards there. And as per Section 619 and 620 of the Municipal Government Act, we cannot address matters decided by the Alberta Utility Commission, and any conditions issued by the Alberta Utility Commission prevail over conditions issued by the municipality that conflict with them. It should be noted that this process is completely separate from the municipal permitting process. And as of April 25th, 2022, the opportunity to have an exemption from obtaining an approval under the Alberta Utility Commission for own use power plants between 1 megawatt and 10 megawatts has been eliminated. So they do have to go through, and there's no longer that option anymore. The applicant has to file a checklist application with Alberta Utilities Commission, which I believe they've already initiated. They have to comply with Rule 12, which is the noise control rule under the Alberta Utility Commission. And they must confirm that the power plant does not directly and adversely affect any person. They must confirm that the power plant has no adverse effect on the environment. So that's part of their approval under the AUC. So just to give you some site images, the first one was taken just about at the south end of Torrington. It is zoomed in just a tad because otherwise you couldn't see. I'll find my pointer here. So the actual site itself is down in here. And then this is the next picture is a little bit further down Range Road 263. And then that's from the access to the site. And then the next pictures are of the site itself. So to date, I just want to make you aware we did not receive any letters in favor, and we got no comments or concerns from any of the notified agencies. We did receive one letter in opposition, which has been included in the back of your package. I'm just going to highlight what their concerns are. I will not read the entire letter into the package, as you have a copy of it there. But some of their concerns were additional traffic, the noise. They were concerned with potential leaks from the natural gas generators, some of the environmental things, and fire or toxic engine exhaust. And so those were some of the things in their letter that they had concerns with. And then I was just going to note consideration for second and third reading. A bylaw 1853 can be considered today or prepared as an addition to the May 24th council meeting agenda. And that's it for my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hazelton. Does council have any questions for the planner? I see none, so
Okay.
did a good job, Barb. I will now ask the applicant to come forward to make their presentation.
Hello, sir. Thanks for having us here today.
You'll have to move up to the presenter's desk.
Hello, my name is Mark Lackey, and I work for Trimble Engineering. Trimble works very closely with the applicant, Fire Technology Corp. We had approached this trying to put out the information package and try to really display the project as we planned it, as most particularly that we could. We have prepared information to talk to you today about as well. What we thought after Ms. Hazelton's presentation, we weren't in particular going to give a presentation. We brought out a team of individuals that we work very closely with to answer questions. If you would like a little summary from my perspective and the team's perspective, I'm happy to give that to you over the next couple of minutes if you would prefer that.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. And I may call on some of my colleagues here to join me because they've taken on particular aspects of the project. We're working with Ember Resources, a well-respected local natural gas producer. We have had opportunities to review certain of Ember's locations to install a cryptocurrency mining project. On first glance, we looked at about 3 or 4 locations. We picked this location because there was ample room on site and there was an existing oil and gas operation already occurring. So from a perspective of trying to keep minimal ground disturbance and being very cognizant of noise and background noise, we chose this location. There were other opportunities to pick other locations where we may have had to have taken additional surface and created ground disturbance, but we felt this was the optimal location for a number of reasons, basically minimal disturbance, I guess the lowest concern for noise, and we'll get into that in a minute. So we picked this location. The project itself is to construct a micro power generation facility to feed natural gas generators to produce power for the crypto mining operations. As laid out in the information package, we plan to install between 7 and 9 what we call mining containers, which will house the computers. Each mining box will contain about 300 computers. In addition to that, there will be approximately 7 to 9 generators. They will be housed in units as well. We call them gensets in the industry. And that will be basically the amount of crypto equipment that will be on site. In addition, there will be a small office, and that will comprise the project. The project will take up just over 1 acre of land on Ember's site. Ember has about 7.5 acres for their plant site, and we will take up just a small portion of that. It's actually about a 60 by 70 meter dimension. The project will occur in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be just under 1 megawatt of power, and that's in essence to get the project all lined out to ensure that everything is functioning properly, to ensure that there's good communications between the computers, to ensure that we're also working very closely with Ember and ensuring that we're not in any way impacting their operations and vice versa. After phase 1 of the project, which is anticipated to be constructed, originally it was Q2 of this year. Now we're probably looking into the July timeframe. But after that, we're going to move to phase 2, which is to bring in more equipment and to get up to that threshold of just under 10 megawatts. And we feel that that will occur, originally targeted for Q4. We feel that will be constructed in and around the November-December timeframe. In conjunction with that, we've wanted to parallel all efforts. So we've engaged a team of experts on the acoustic sound side, on the engineering side, on the regulatory side. A number of my colleagues sit behind me here today that have been working on the project since inception. And we're just excited to be working with Ember in the community and feel that once we get the project up and running, that there will be some employment opportunities. We haven't been able to fully identify them yet. We have identified in the information package there could be an opportunity for 5 to 8 contractors. That may grow. We just have to see how the project comes together. We'll be looking for support within the local community. Fire Capital does have an office in Calgary. However, dealing with the community, we want to ensure that, you know, we're taking full advantage of any services and expertise locally as well. We're here to answer any questions that may arise with respect to noise. We understand that that's a key concern within the community, and exhaust and that sort of thing, and also wildlife. So we're happy to speak to those questions here today.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any questions from council for the applicant or any one of the members that are back there. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Coates.
So, question about, and maybe Mike Zier might be able to also answer this, the size of the equipment bringing in the skids, the weight of that, what does that impact on our roads going from Highway 27 up to that site?
Good question. I'm going to ask John Lee, our production and project engineer with Fire.
Good morning,
Welcome.
ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is John, and I'm the facility engineer for this project. I'm a registered engineer with Topeka. So regarding to the equipment, basically, there will be the generators for the final phase of this project. The generator will come in a 40-foot container, just like your regular seafood container. And the mining boxes, they will be similar size, also 40-foot container, 8.5 feet wide, 9.5 feet tall. Just your regular seagoing container, it'll be packaged. These equipment will be set on cement blocks, so there will be no ground penetration at all. The setting up of these equipment, because I know it's going to be a light industrial designation, but because it's going to be sitting on Amber's lease, so all the design parameters and it will be following the AR rules as per Amber's specification as well.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Coates.
So I guess you answered that question, but the one on when you're transporting it from Highway 27 up the gravel road itself, the weight of that, the weight of your equipment coming in on our gravel roads, because I have to think about the people that live on those roads that you access them to get to their homes.
The weight of the equipment. The heaviest piece of equipment will be the full-size generators, the 1.47 megawatt generators. These will be running around about 75,000 pounds.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from council to the applicant? Yes, Councillor Petter.
This is more a question for Mark, actually. You said you've worked with Ember. Is that just you currently working with them, or have you worked with them in other counties, or if you could just elaborate a little bit, please?
Yes. Thanks for the question. Referencing Ember, more particularly was working with Ember on this specific project. My past history has been about 25 years of oil and gas experience working with a number of producers, representing producers myself. But yes, it's just working with Ember on this specific project. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Forbes.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
No, good.
You're like a yo-yo, sorry. So the landowner itself, do you have any contact with them, or is it just Ember that you're dealing with?
We have, Gord Ferguson, and I'm going to look at my colleague to help correct me if I'm wrong. Gord Ferguson, we have been in contact with. We were early introduced to him because he also works as an operator on some of the Ember facilities. So the interaction that we've had with Gord Ferguson has been very positive, and he's been very supportive of this project. Thank you.
I have a question. You're proposing to put in 7 to 9 gensets. They are 1 megawatt each, is that correct?
I'm going to ask John to come up and answer that question. Thank you. Oh, okay, great.
We can both sit down at the same time. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Unless, of course, you don't like each other, then it could be a problem.
The way we've looked at it is to get to the ideal design capacity of 10, as close to 10 megawatts as we can. The ideal unit will be a Caterpillar 3516. It would take us to 1.4 megawatt each. We asked for between 7 and 9 because of the supply chain challenges that we've been seeing, because we do not know what kind of type of generator we're gonna get. It could be 1.2, just, right now, it's difficult to get our hands on that point. So if we do, fortunate enough to source 1.47 generators, megawatt generators, it will be about 7. If we anything lower than that, we're probably looking at towards 8 or 9 to make up to that capacity.
Okay, thank you. I was just, because phase 1 was gonna be 1 megawatt, so I'm just trying to get it
For the
straight.
pilot project, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason for the pilot project is also to assess the noise impact. And based on that, we have done the baseline noise impact assessment by the environmental engineering firm Patchings and Associates. So we did the baseline. And the intent for the first megawatt is to install an actual mining box and the 1 megawatt, and then do another noise impact and just see how it runs, and based on that, model it up. And if there's anything different from our guesses or our estimates, then we have to look into mitigation or noise abatement.
So just for clarity as well, because John had mentioned sizes of 1.2 to 1.4 megawatts. On the first, yes, the first phase is definitely going to be under 1 megawatt. So that may be sourcing a couple smaller generators on a temp basis.
That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify in my head that it was just 1 genset coming in, but now it looks like there could be 2 smaller ones, depending on what you can get.
So that we can certainly be under that 1 megawatt threshold, yes.
Okay, we just received your package here before the meeting started. So as far as the noise, I'm just trying to look at this quickly here. You're looking at cumulative decibels of 37.2 after the project is complete. Am I correct, or is that
I
phase
think
1?
what we'll do is we'll call on Patching and Associates that actually did the noise study. I
Yeah,
realize
no, that'd be great.
it's a big package, so we'll
Yes,
let
it
them,
is.
Summarize it for you.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Mackenzie Coons. I'm the acoustic engineer on the project.
First name again, please?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, thank you.
Yep. I work with Patching Associates, acoustical engineering out of Calgary. Yep.
So I guess I was looking at page, oh, I don't know what page it is. 1, 2, 3, page 4, I guess it would be, executive summary.
Yep.
Overall sound pressure levels as proposed, that graph.
You bet.
So cumulative SPL, I'm not sure what SPL stands for.
Cumulative sound pressure level.
Alrighty, that's 37.2
Yep.
after the project is
That is the full project, so that
That's
would be
the
the
full
full,
project.
that would be the full 10 megawatt implementation, yeah, with 8 gen sets running at 1.475 megawatts.
all right, and that is at what distance?
That is at the 2 receivers that, so I was in the field on April 26th. I drove around I explored the Ember facility, did some sound measurements there, and did some sound measurements within 3 kilometers of the Ember facility. I checked if there's any other oil and gas related noise in the area, and I marked all the houses within 1.5 kilometers of the Ember facility and the proposed Bitcoin operation. So that is at the location of the 2 receivers that are within 1.5 kilometers of the facility.
Okay,
which
so that's at
dictated by
1.5 kilometers
Yeah.
away from the gensets.
1,370 respectively for the most impacted one. That's the receiver residence to the northwest, and 1,660 from and that's measured from the center of Ember for the one to the southeast. Yeah.
Meters.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's dictated by the AUC Rule 12 and the AER Directive 38 noise control. So either if there's any residences within 1,500 meters of the proposed operation, that is where the noise level is predicted. And this is from a noise model that I built.
All righty. Councillor Christie.
The noise that you recorded now is the compressors that are on site. Are they similar horsepower to the generators, or what?
The compressors, we didn't have permission for Ember to get detailed measurements. We did a ISO measurement and I calculated a sound power for the facility based on that. So from exterior measurements of the buildings. So we didn't work closely with Ember and get full diagnostics measurements. I don't know the make and model of the compressors, but based on the size of them, the compressors, there's 4 compressors on site. 2 of them are running when I was in the field. I conservatively boosted the sound power of the facility to make up for all 4 of them running, just to add some conservatism into the model. My estimations based on the size of the units, they'd be, I guess, 1,500 horsepower units each.
So they'd be similar to those generators?
They'd be similar to the generators, yeah. And as we go through, sorry, there's lots of pages on this report here. I'll just point you towards page 10 of 12, facility owner SPL contributions. So in my model, I have broken out the individual contribution from Fire Technologies' proposed operation and Ember itself. They are similar. So these are, again, predicted at those receiver locations. R01 would be the residence to the north-northwest. R02 would be the one to the southwest. So individual contributions would be 31.7 decibels from Fire Technologies and 28.3 to the northwest location and 30.2 from Fire and 26.3 for Amber to the southwest location, southeast location, sorry.
Okay, are there any other questions from council to the applicants? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
So you still have to receive AUC approval, is that correct?
Correct. Our part of the AUC approval is just to ensure they, like, our exact part is to make sure they meet the noise part of it, so Rule 12. From our noise perspective, the facility is going to be well in compliance with Rule 12 and the AR Directive 38. Yeah.
And I just wanted to confirm, I know it was a little bit confusing. So that it looks like the AUC used to give an exemption if you were under 10 megawatts, but now they've done away with that exemption and you guys have proposed 9.99, is that correct?
Correct. I don't know the exact megawatts of the project, but from the equipment data that we've been given, it should be land right around there. Yeah.
Okay. And then just a question for myself is like, who monitors that? Like, cause just the 9.9 is pretty close to 10. So how, does somebody monitor that it stays under that 10?
Of course. Yeah.
You're welcome.
My name is Greg Baden. I've been helping Fire Technology with both setting up the acoustic study and dealing with the would be the AUC application and the Alberta Environment application. So the AUC has changed their process recently. There is a checklist application for projects of 10, under 10 megawatts, and we will fill that out and submit that when the details are available. The AUC essentially is the last gate. They want to see the work that the work has been done, and that Alberta Environment has decided on what is required in terms of background work for the project, and then you file with the AUC that final application, at which then, if everything is in place, there will be you'll get a permit. The AUC will follow up. I think that's one key thing for a developer is to, you have to put in what you say you're going to put in. You do not want the AUC showing up on your site and finding out that you've put something different on there. There's been some recent situations and the penalties were very severe. So I think I have full confidence in Fire that this will be done the way it needs to be done. They're being very conscientious about the requirements and what has to be done.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Forbes.
So just a question, as the counselor for the division you're putting this in, you're not probably always going to get the calls from the neighbors that might be complaining about the noise level. It'll be me or the county. So how do you address those? If I get those calls from the people that are most affected from it, are you coming in to examine the noise level, even though it meets the standards? I mean, you still have people that are living out there, right?
I'll take that one.
Yeah, definitely, if there is a complaint, it will be followed up. There will be essentially another survey to confirm what was going on, and if mitigation is required, mitigation will be enacted.
Yes, Deputy Reeve King.
So, reading your report on the sound, and I noticed on that page 10 that you referred us to, I had a question related to the noise levels that you measured and indicated at RO1 and RO2 for Ember. Are those existing noise levels based on your projection as if all 4 of the compressors were running?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then when you add in the fire technologies, additional sound that's going to be generated there, the cumulative effect on those residences is about a 50% increase in the total. So you go from 28 to 37 and from 26 to 36. And I'm just pulling those numbers out of your table, so.
Yep, no problem. It's logarithmic addition.
Okay.
So acoustically, 3 decibels is about twice as loud. It takes 5 decibels, common literature, 5 decibels for a perceivable increase in sound for an average human ear. 10 decibels is definitely noticeable, and it all depends on the individual. So approximately, and this is just straight up mathematics, it's about twice as loud. And our model is modeled during worst case propagation conditions, so downwind at all times for each receiver, and that's dictated by both regulations, so AUC and AER. Downwind, moderate humidity, 10-15 kilometers an hour, so kind of worst case propagation.
Ideal sound carrying.
Ideal sound carrying, yep. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what the report is saying is that the impact on the residents would be that they're going to hear about twice, under ideal conditions, they hear about twice the noise they do currently.
Currently, yeah. When I was in the field, I could not hear Ember at either location. It was a little windy the day I was out in the field, but I was not able to perceive Ember facility at either resident location within 1,500 meters when I was in the field.
Okay. And based on other information that we were told earlier, it sounds like there's a plan to put in place the initial project and then do actual sound measurements based on what's actually occurred.
Yep. My model of the gen sets is based on measurements that we've done in the field before. So we've measured these 1475 XQ 1475 cats several times. Our model is theoretical. I will base that, but it does meet CAT's noise specifications, and I've double checked the measurements there. Our model of the Bitcoin mining operations themselves, that is also based on field measurements. And there's some micro turbine generators in there too as a provision, and those are based on manufacturer specifications as well. So we're confident in our modeling data, and I've added a little bit of conservatism in there, especially on the Ember facility, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Are there any other? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
This might sound like an odd question, but one of our jobs is to look towards the future. So I don't know enough about crypto mining to know what the next 10, 20 years looks like. At the end of the lifespan of this project, if there is one, does the responsibility for the removal of equipment fall on the landowner or fire tech company? And is there an agreement of that?
Okay.
Is there any more sound questions? Oh, thank you.
Oh, there might be later.
Yeah, okay. I'm not far away.
It's not too far. Yes, currently in place, we have a shared surface agreement with Ember, and that lays out exactly what has to happen upon termination of our project, which would include the removal of all of our equipment. If there's any underground installation with respect to the fuel glass line or shut-off valves or what have you that we may have installed, that will have to be removed as well. So it's very clearly defined, absolutely. And in addition, just to just our shared surface arrangement with Ember, the actual original surface lease with the landowner has the same sort of language, which everything has to be removed and remediated.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead,
Not a
Councillor
question,
Forbes.
it's more of a comment. Personally, I appreciate the fact that you're already going to an existing site that is not on prime agricultural land. So I do appreciate the fact that you're doing that, and the fact that you're also doing it in a, with the natural gas that's there, as opposed to putting the burden on the energy grid. So I do appreciate, I just wanted to let you know, I do appreciate those things.
Well, thank you very much for those comments.
Any other questions? Councillor Penner.
The current economy right now is picked up with oil and gas, but we've seen it here within the county and with our landowners. A lot of wells went back to the Orphan Well Association. If for some unforeseen circumstances that something should happen to Ember, what happens to your facility, would you say?
Well, our facility is going to be very dependent on the supply of gas from the Ember facility. So if the Ember facility, if their business wraps up or terminates, we would have to remove the equipment, and that would thereby terminate our fuel gas supply arrangement with Ember.
Are there any other questions from council for the applicants? Okay, Councillor Forbes.
It'll be for the noise, gentlemen.
Come on back,
Mackenzie.
Sorry. No worries. I was going to say Mark, but I knew it wasn't it, so I thought the gentleman would be better. So we did receive a letter, obviously, from someone that does have some issues. So the noise we've discussed, what about the vibration?
If the gensets are installed correctly, concrete pads? Their gensets are being installed concrete pads? They're being brought in as trailers and then being installed on concrete?
Yes.
Yeah, there shouldn't be too much vibration from a cat.
Okay. Yeah. So it won't really affect the wildlife, because I just want to address that for her if she happens to be listening in.
I don't think there are really any vibration related concerns, and the mining containers themselves are 300 computers, so there wouldn't be too much.
Okay.
The gensets, it's a trailer mounted genset, so it's basically a semi-trailer that you plop down on the ground there. There's vibration sensors on them as well. Gensets don't really like vibration. They're mounted correctly, so there shouldn't be any carrying through the ground. And they'll be sitting on Ember's existing gravel pad. Not too much vibration should be transmitted through the ground there. Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question about the vibration.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions from council to the applicants?
Sorry, Mr. King, can I readdress your question there?
Sure.
I had a little discussion with my colleague there.
You're going to come back to it?
Yeah, on the cumulative part. So Ember Ember's existing noise levels are 28.3 and 26.3 at R1 and R2 respectively. The ASL, I'll just explain a couple. We like our abbreviations in our reports. So facility SPL is the predicted sound pressure level. So this is what someone would hear at the resident. ASL is ambient sound level. That's dictated by the AUC and the AER. In the absence of a measurement, it's assumed to be 35 decibels. And the cumulative SPL is the logarithmic addition of the facility and the ASL. So Ember would be 28.3. With the ASL of 35, it'd be about 36. I don't have a logarithmic calculator with me. 36.2. So the increase in cumulative SPL would be about 1 decibel with the addition of the Fire Technologies proposed facility. So imperceptible to most people, according to most literature. Yeah.
Okay, so The facility SBL, so that is at the facility or is that at distance from the facility?
That's at the point of reception, so that would be not inside the house, but at the actual house, on the exterior house wall.
Okay, so we're talking R1 and R2?
Yeah, yeah, at that actual location, yeah.
Okay, so that's existing or is that projected to be once the additional facility is in place?
Existing would be 28.3 plus 35 logarithmic, it would be 36.1, 36.2. With the Amber, I should have broken this out, and I can break this out. Fire technologies, it would be an increase about 1.1 decibels at R1. 26.3, 35. And it would be an increase about 1.2 at R2.
Okay, so initially you had said that might be as much as a 10 decibel increase, right?
No.
No, that's not correct. You initially said that the sound would be detected at twice the level of what it
Yeah,
is
the
now.
individual contribution of fire, that's why I wanted to correct myself, is 3 decibels larger than Ember at that location. So that'd be twice as much sound energy.
Okay.
But
so the impact on those residents in the real world is negligible, or is it, what kind of projected increase in volume are they going to have? That's
by
what I was.
all acoustic literature, negligible. But during the right wind conditions, it could be perceptible. Yeah.
Okay, so under ideal conditions, they're going to potentially hear a little bit more, but not substantially more.
Nope.
Okay, so when I take my hearing aids out, I wouldn't notice it, but if I had them in, I probably would.
During a very calm night with downwind, you could, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I just
thank
wanted
you.
to correct myself there. It wasn't twice as loud.
Okay,
It's the way that.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I will ask again, are there any other questions from council to the applicants? Well, it looks like our questions have been answered. Okay. Okay, I'll now go on to the next step. I've got a question for the recording secretary, though. Do we have a speakers list? Because I don't have one here. Well, I thought I would check.
Yeah.
There are no speakers on the speakers list.
Okay, there is no one, okay. All right, well, so I'll call on individuals as they appear on the speakers list. As there are no individuals on the speakers list, I will go on to the next step. I will ask one final time. Is anyone else present who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw? Would you please come forward? Okay, could you please state your name?
Sure.
And the recording secretary can take that down.
Sure, my name is Stephen Raymer.
Welcome, Steve.
Hi. I only was going to ask a question if it wasn't answered in the presentation. So my question is about the efficiency or efficacy of the generators being used and the impact on usage of natural gas and the economic impact on pricing for everyone in the region, if there's any impact.
All righty.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Does the applicant wish to offer rebuttal?
In regard to the efficiency of the generators, The generator we're generally looking for is close to the power factor of 0.8. So that's the efficiency level that we're looking for. In terms of fuel gas, the total scale-up project is looking to consume 3 million cubic feet of gas, natural gas that's being contracted from Amber. And economic impact,
I can maybe help out with that. I mean, given the size of that gas demand compared to what is produced daily in Alberta, this is a very minor fraction of total Alberta production. It's not likely going to have any direct impact on the commodity price of natural gas. It would be very difficult to actually even measure what that might be, given the complexity of the natural gas market and the size of it in comparison. And if, in my background, I spent 8 years with a gas and power trading company owned by Shell Trading, so I have some experience in natural gas trading and contracting, so I feel pretty comfortable in saying that.
Okay, that's 3 million cubic feet per year?
Per day.
Per day.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. Does council have any further questions for the applicant or administration, i.e. the planning staff?
I have one.
Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Just for the planning staff, the letter that we received in opposition, is that one of the locations, the R1 or the R2, that the noise level was
No,
taken from?
that was not. It's just directly west. Sorry. Oh. No, that's not one of those residences, so.
Does council have any other questions? Yes, go ahead. Councillor McGhee.
I'm really not familiar with these type of facilities. What is considered an expected life expectancy of such a facility? Or is that kind of unknown?
Let me get closer.
I'll switch here. I'll let you have a
Okay. Sorry, the question?
life expectancy.
Life expectancy, for the equipment, for the project, the equipments are the equipment designed is 15-year plus. Yeah.
Councillor Forbes.
Sorry, before you leave.
Okay, don't go yet.
Since you say 15-year plus, just because I really been investigating green energy, your computers that are in there are recyclable, correct?
20.
Can you recycle the equipment that's inside?
Yeah.
Or does it going to end up in a landfill, is my question at the end of the day.
Personally, I do not quite understand what's inside a mining box, but inside the generator box, that's my strength, that's my understanding. So regarding anything that's electronic side of the mining box, I think I have to defer to another gentleman here.
Would someone be able to answer that question?
Yeah. Anybody want to speak to the mining box?
Sorry.
No, it's a great question. I'll address it with a general comment. With everything with the supply chain issues and the expense of computers and video cards, the focus usually on crypto miners is to work with the box and replace some of the equipment on the inside before ever deeming a box or a mining computer to be obsolete. There are, it's a fast-moving industry, and computers are improving all the time, and often they can be improved by updating the componentry on the inside. So with every company wanting to keep costs in check and get the most productivity out of their equipment, there will be a focus on updating the equipment within the mining boxes before ever having to replace them.
I guess my question is when you are ready to replace the equipment that is being used, are you recycling that equipment, or is it going to a landfill?
We haven't discussed that as a team yet. I would
Okay.
assume anything that we can do that's for the betterment of the environment, we will always recycle.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, Councillor Christie.
We've talked a lot about the noise of the generators. That energy's being used somewhere. Is there much noise from the Bitcoin mine itself, or is it just ventilation, or what is it?
Again, I'll defer to my colleague at Patching to answer that. I think Mackenzie. Yep. We have the experts here, so we might as well use them.
Yeah. It's 300 individual computers per mining container, and they run fans. So, like your home computer has a fan to keep itself cool, so there'd just be 300 of those per. It'd be similar sound. It would sound kind of like a air conditioning unit, just larger. It's a air conditioning unit the size of a shipping container. It'd be fan noise. 300 individual fans.
I ran a large hog setup in my yard. If those fans resonated, it was amazing the noise they could make. If you turned one fan off, it just disappeared.
Yep. Yeah, you can get beat frequencies, but these are smaller fans. There shouldn't be too much of a beat frequency. With the larger cooling fans on compressors, we've run into beat frequencies before where the 13-foot fans resonate with themselves, yeah. And that'll carry kilometers. This will be a higher tone. Sound propagation requires both sound power and is spectrum dependent as well, especially with the ground absorption and air absorption as it travels through the air. With the residences being 1,400 meters away, this noise will be in the higher frequency bands. The impact will be, the generators will have a larger impact at that distance than the Bitcoin containers themselves.
Okay, thank you. I know that if the power went off in my yard, it'd wake me up at night because the sound quit.
Yeah, yeah. And like we're an acoustic engineering firm in Calgary, and we deal with, like, I know my mother-in-law deals with her neighbor's air conditioning unit itself. It's right underneath her kind of bedroom window, but at these distances, the mining container should have a minimal impact. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Cunningham.
If I can just add one point to that, I did talk to the AUC about how they, what falls under that Rule 12, and the fan noise falls under that as well. So once there's noise on the site, even though the Bitcoin, they don't regulate that portion, the noise from the fans as well as the generators would fall under that Rule 12. So just
Councillor Cunningham.
I just want to circle back quickly just to confirm this, back to the question that Mr. Reimer asked. So because of the amount of natural gas that Ember is producing, we can be very confident that there would never be a shortage to the adjacent landowners. And I guess we can't confirm for sure that price wouldn't increase, but you folks are fairly confident of that as well?
That's not me.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Good question. So that, in terms of the commodity, if there's a shortage, it will be a continental shortage.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
You'll just have to hit the button on your mic.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
All right, all
Thank
right.
you.
In terms of the commodity itself, natural gas, if there's a shortage, it'll be essentially a continental shortage. In terms of local conditions, it will depend on the distribution company's piping in the system. So that conversation's on, we've got Ember as the supply, so as long as Ember has a supply, there would not be an immediate local shortage.
Yeah, that's just important because I think all of us have seen our delivery charges go through the roof this past winter. So
Yes.
I just want, for our ratepayers to ensure that a project such as this isn't going to compromise, what they're paying at all. So from what I understand, it sounds like you're saying that Ember's, adequately, able to provide, but
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from council to the applicants? Looks like there is not. So I'm going to ask, is council satisfied with the amount of information that they've received before we close the hearing? A head nod would be sufficient.
Yes.
Okay, consensus is yes. Okay, so now I'd like to remind everyone that once the public hearing is adjourned, no further information on the matter shall be received by council. So in other words, this is your last chance. You got anything to say? Say it now. Okay. I now declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to go back into regular council meeting. Councillor Christie.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing and go back to regular council. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. I would like to thank you guys for all coming in. It's great to get the answer, and it really helps when we have the experts in the crowd to make sure that we get the answer. So thanks for coming in.
And on behalf of Fire Technology Corp., thank you for hosting this public hearing. We're very pleased with it. And again, thank you for your time today. Have a great day.
All right,
Thanks.
that's why we're here. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Orly, 9.72 billion cubic feet gas production per day. No, that's Alberta production, 9.72 billion cubic feet per day. Billion. That's why they're comparing their 3 million cubic feet. Sounds like a lot, as being a really small. But when you hear that number like 3 million cubic feet, it's like, wow.
All right.
Glad I'm not paying the bill.
Okay, I'm sifting through the agenda package. Our next agenda item will be 8.1, disposition of delegation and public hearing business. Welcome back, Ms. Hazelton.
Thank you. So again, GVF Contracting Limited is the current landowner of the southeast of 283226, and he has granted Fire Technology Corp. As an agent to apply for a micropower generation and cryptocurrency mining facility on those noted lands. As we've just discussed in the public hearing, the proposed site is located approximately 2 kilometers southwest of Torrington as the crow flies. The site is accessed via Range Road 26-3 and is just over 1.5 miles south of Highway 27. The applicants are looking to lease a portion of the existing Ember lease site located on the property. Ember has entered into a surface sharing lease with Fire Technology Corp., and they've also, the landowner has granted them access. We will not take an application without the landowner's signature. And then we've talked about the uses in the public hearing, the proposed uses that could potentially be brought into the light industrial district. So we have several options for council to move second and third reading, or to consider additional readings, or you can defer additional readings to an alternate date and time, or request more information.
Are there any questions from council for the planner? Go ahead, Councillor McGhee.
So if we were to redesignate and then this falls through, would we be considering changing it back to ag, or how would that affect the future if they don't come, or if they close faster than expected? What do we do with that piece of land then?
So it stays in light industrial. The owner can always come back and rezone it back if they choose. Or what we can do, and what some municipalities do, is if lands have not been utilized in those districts for long periods of time, they could go to those landowners and say, we would like to redesignate these lands back to agriculture. But that's really something, typically we haven't done that. It's really on the landowner to come back and rezone them back.
Councillor Phobes.
The portion that Fire is doing, that is the only area, right? It's not going to be the whole 7 acres.
So you've got an acre parcel,
It's the acre.
which would be very limiting for another use, to be honest, without having to come through.
Yep.
Councillor Christie?
So it's just the acre, not the whole facility?
That's right. So just that 1.04 acre piece that they've designated.
Any other questions? Councillor, or Deputy Reeve King?
And just clarification, just for, I guess, public consumption, this is would be considered a discretionary use on the redesignated lands, and so there would be an entire development process that
Correct.
has to be gone through.
Yes, now these, and we have on occasion, if they have everything together, we will circulate both at the same time. This company has requested we do that. So the circulation has gone out for the public hearing and the development permit. And so we have clarified that with anybody that's called. We've had, I think, 2 inquiries regarding that. And so those parties know that they can still submit a letter, but it will be coming to the Planning Commission. If they are successful today, it will be coming to the May Planning Commission.
Okay, but the notifications that are required under our process have
Correct.
gone out as far as the
Development.
Yep.
Yes, correct.
Any other questions for the planner from council? If not, what are council's wishes? Councillor Penner.
I would make the motion that council move second reading of proposed bylaw 1853 for the purpose of amending land use bylaw 1808 by redesignating a portion of the southeast of 283226 west of 4 from agricultural district to light industrial district.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to proceed with second reading on bylaw 1853. Is there any discussion to that motion? Councillor Cunningham.
Just a quick comment. I just want to really echo the comments of Councillor Phobes. I really appreciate the fact that this potential development is being on the site that it is and not taking out agricultural land, because I'm very passionate about that. So just a comment that I wanted to make.
Okay, is there any other discussion to the motion? I see none. So what we're doing here is we're voting on second reading for bylaw 1853. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Councillor McGhee.
I'd like to move third reading of the proposed bylaw 1853 for the purpose of amending land use bylaw 1808 by redesignating a portion of southeast 283226 west of 4 from agriculture district to light industrial.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion to proceed with third reading of bylaw 1853. Is there any discussion? Last opportunity here. I see none. I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is also carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. So I will adjourn the meeting at 11:03. Thank you, everyone.